So, I want to help you today to realize what beliefs are most activated within you. And we want to help you to realize that you have so much choice in what's activated, but you have to make the choice. And that's the thing that we see with so many of our physical friends. They don't make the choice. Whatever has been activated just sort of stays activated. It's like, well, I believed this before, so I guess I should believe it now. Or, I thought this way before, and I haven't thought about thinking about it differently, so I guess I'll just keep thinking about it this way. And we say, some of the things that you think don't serve you, like physical decline, like shortage or lack of things, like it's just the way I am, or it's just the way things are. In other words, there are many thoughts that you've picked up along your physical trail that are truthful thoughts because there are many who think them often enough to manifest them, and so then the statisticians record the data and they say this is a truth. But we say it's only a truth because people have been thinking them. People have been activating them. You can make any truth you choose your truth. Sometimes we will hear you say, well, there is this truthful thought of the way I am. In other words, my body's not working very well these days, and I don't have as much money as I want, and my relationship stinks. And sure, I have these desires, but this is just the way it is. And we say, we want you to begin to think about how you want it to be rather than think about how it is. And you say, oh, well, that would be fantasy. That would be lies. That would be making it up. And we say, we're not asking you to make the choice between truth and lies. Well, maybe we are. What we're asking you to make the choice between is what feels good and what doesn't feel good. But there's something in the human makeup that says, but shouldn't I choose what is true first? And it's fortunate if it's true and does feel good, but shouldn't I choose what is true? Shouldn't I be true to truth? And we say, be true to who you really are. When you are true to who you really are, you always choose the thought that feels best. So if you are choosing the thought that feels best and you are doing it regularly, then the thought that feels best becomes your truth. It becomes the most active thought within you. It becomes the thought that universal forces activate around. In other words, there's no reason that what feels best can't be your truth. There's no reason that you cannot truly be prosperous and truly be stable in your body and truly be vital and alive and clear-minded. There is no reason other than you have practiced other thoughts. And you say, well, I didn't do it on my own. A whole lot of them are practicing those thoughts. And we say, we know they are. We know they're practicing those thoughts. That's what convinced you that it's a thought worth thinking. But if it doesn't feel good, it's not a thought worth thinking. If it doesn't feel good, you're not being true to who you are. If it doesn't feel good, you've got your tuner set to the wrong station. And you're beaming in something from a mortal level instead of something from a spiritual level. In other words, you are not tuned in, tapped in, turned on to who you are when you feel bad. And we don't care who calls it truth. There are a lot of truths you don't want. Cancer is one. AIDS is another. Terrorism is another. Violence is another. In other words, there are all kinds of miserable true things. And what we're wanting to harass you into is saying, as Esther said to us after a discussion like this with her, I can damn well choose the vibration that is dominant. We said, could be more positive, but that's a good start. It's wonderful to make a decision. It is wonderful to say, I'm going to choose. Never mind what happened when I was 4 or 5 or 8 or 12 or 20 or 40 or 50. Never mind what happened. And never mind how it set me to thinking. The only thing that matters now is what I'm thinking a vibrational match to who I really am? Am I vibrationally compliant with the source that is me? So nothing is more important than that I feel good. Nothing is more important than that I feel good. Nothing matters more than that I practice thoughts that feel good. So toward that end, toward that never end, we are offering a new game or process that we are calling virtual reality. You've played games like it as you've done creative visualizations or creative workshops, but this game is different, and we're going to talk about why it's different, because if you don't get why it's different, then it won't work for you. Here's the game. last 30 seconds, you're in charge of all of it. You're like a movie director. You choose the scene. You choose the time of year. In other words, where is it? What time of year is it? What time of day is it? What does the air feel like? You give it as much description as you could, as much description as the movie makers give you when they open a movie and play that music. In other words, you get to choose all of that. And then once you've established where you are and what it looks like and how you feel, you can decide whether somebody else is there with you. It doesn't matter if they are. Sometimes it's helpful, sometimes it's not helpful. And then you decide what their mood is, and then you exchange a few words and you get out. The process is get in, feel good, get out. We were visiting with a woman recently who said, I'm in my backyard. And we said, you have endless choices, but the backyard is a fine choice. And we said, what time of day is it? What does it look like? And she began a very clear description. And then she began talking about how this flower was about to bloom, and this flower had already bloomed and was waning. And we said, this is your virtual reality. You can make them all bloom at once if you want. In other words, that's the thing about virtual reality. It's not about facing reality. It's about activating a vibration within you on purpose. Virtual reality is where you practice a vibration and make it dominant. Can you see value in that? In other words, if something happened when you were 2 and became a dominant vibration for that day, and then you and your family talked about it so that it was a dominant vibration for that week, and then you kept remembering it, and then you repeated it to friends, and then you began attracting other people who had similar experiences, so ever since you were 2, that was a dominant vibration, don't you think it could be of value to get into a virtual reality and practice some other vibration to make it dominant? In other words, you're not stuck with what got started back who knows when. You get to choose, and over a very short period of time, you can make any vibration of your choice a dominant vibration just with a little bit of practice. So, virtual reality is not a place where you go to fix something. In other words, you would not create a beautiful house and notice that the roof was leaking and then bring in a repairman. He tracks up your rug, overcharges you. You wrestle him to the ground, make him make it right, and you triumphantly win with your struggle justifying your existence. When you go to your virtual reality, you get to make everything exactly the way you want to make it. The only thing that virtual reality is used for, as far as we are encouraging, is a place that you go to feel good and practice feeling good in 30-second snatches until you begin to activate within yourself vibrations like that. In other words, this is the way you begin to offer your vibration purposefully. We were visiting with a friend who took us to Hawaii. We were on the beach, lovely time of day, nice and warm. She was dressed in her beach clothes. Her feet were bare and in the sand. It was a beautiful vista, beach activities going on all around her. Barbecue smell of food, people playing in the surf, music playing off in the distance. Perfect time and place. And then we said, who else is there? And she said, my son. At which point her virtual reality went south. Because it was shortly after Mother's Day. Her son had hurt her feelings. So she thought, what better time to fix something that's broken than while I'm doing a virtual reality with Abraham? And we said, virtual reality is for only one thing. It's to find a vibration that feels good and practice it. In other words, Esther discovered while Esther is driving, she can do virtual reality. And she would find herself, if she tried to stay much longer than 30 seconds, she would get in there, she would set the scene, it would be a beautiful place. She could smell it and hear it and feel it and taste it. A smile would come across her face. She would bring someone else in, and then shortly she was trying to reform them in some way. Or responding to their attempt at reforming her. And we said, Esther, If you do that in virtual reality, all you do is practice a vibration that isn't working well for you in your virtual reality. So all you do is bring reality to virtual reality and mess virtual reality up in the same way you've messed up reality, and it doesn't do anything about changing your vibration. In other words, that's why so many of you want things that don't change. You want things, but you keep percolating along with the same thoughts, and you've got to begin practicing some mind control. You've got to practice some focus. You've got to practice some choosing. And most importantly, you've got to practice choosing a thought and recognizing the corresponding visceral, emotional response to it. In other words, if you're just thinking thoughts all over the place and, oh, bless your hearts, you live in this such connected world where you have access to so many other things. You turn on the television and they have an agenda. They have an agenda that they want to activate within you. So when you turn it on and you just watch it, they make your virtual reality. They play the music. They show you the scenes. In other words, they conclude how you will feel. They make you feel vulnerable so you will want their service or product. They make you feel in need of what they have to offer, whether it's the newscast or somebody that is selling something. And we are not saying that some of that does not serve you and some of it does not enhance your physical experience. But what we will say is you're letting them program the vibrational nature of your being. So much so that if you do a poll across your nation and you say, is it natural to decline as you move through time? Almost everyone says yes, and it is not natural. So much so that if you did a poll across your nation that said, will you need financial assistance in taking care of your poor, decrepit, and broken body in the last days of your life, almost everyone says yes. They're horrified if they don't have some plan to deal with the inevitable siege of disgusting decline. And we say, where do you get this stuff? You get it from those who want to sell you remedies for disgusting decline. You don't get it from your source. Your source doesn't believe it. You don't get it from your beasts. Your beasts don't believe it. You get it from each other, but you get it from those who have discovered that they can set the tone of your vibration, and you say, go ahead, I'm too lazy to do it myself. It's easier for me to go to a movie and let you evoke mood within me than it is for me to gaze off into Never Never Land for 30 seconds and choose a vibration of my own. As you are an observer of life, whatever you're observing dictates the vibration that you practice. As you are a creator of life, you deliberately choose what you observe in order to affect the vibration. You deliberately choose what you think in order to deliberately affect the vibration. And after you do that for just a little while, here's the most exciting part about this practicing virtual reality. Once you choose deliberately for just a little bit of time, we're talking about 30 seconds here and there for a handful of days, maybe a month. What begins to happen is you begin to activate within you a vibrational tone that is so in vibrational harmony with your source and who you really are, that then law of attraction helps you to solicit those things from your environment. In other words, you only have to deliberately think for a little while, and then that thought becomes second nature. Now, as we said earlier, we really want to say this to you again, there are so many thoughts that you naturally think that serve you. You all expected to come here and there would be a building here today. You all expect there to be food. You all expect dollars to flow into your experience. You expect transportation. In other words, there is so much that much of the world does not expect and therefore does not live that you expect and therefore you do live. You are a highly evolved people living in what we see to be the most splendid times of physical existence.